Oh God, Wren whispers, dropping to her knees. Her second-hand black dress, the only formal thing she owns, rides up as she scrambles to gather the jagged pieces. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you kidding me right now? The voice comes from above, sharp and cold. Wren looks up to find Portia Ashford looming over her, perfectly highlighted hair swinging like a curtain of judgment. Do you have any idea how much those cost? They're Waterford crystal, you absolute disaster. I'll pay for it, Wren stammers, even though the words are ridiculous. She can barely afford groceries. I'll work extra hours, You'll what? You make $8 an hour at that pathetic diner. Portia's laugh is acid. You know what? I don't even know why Trevor invited you. Oh wait, yes I do. He felt sorry for you. My brother has always had a bleeding heart for charity cases. Before we continue, please prove my mom wrong. She says I can't hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, let's continue. The crowd has formed a loose circle now, phones out, capturing every moment of Wren's humiliation. She can feel their stares like brands against her skin. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she knows this will be online within minutes. Small towns never forget, and Silver Pine Falls is the smallest of them all. Portia, that's enough. Trevor pushes through the onlookers, his face flushed. He's been her friend since high school, before his family made their millions in tech, before she lost everything. It was an accident. An accident? Portia gestures at the spreading champagne stain on the antique Persian rug. That rug is worth more than her dead mother's house was. The words land like a physical blow. Wren feels something inside her chest crack open, sharp and raw. She's been holding herself together with spit and prayers for 3 years. Since the cancer took her mother, since the medical bills consumed their savings, since she had to drop out of college and take whatever work she could find. But this? Standing here in borrowed shoes while strangers record her breakdown? This might finally break her. I should go, she whispers, backing toward the exit. Glass crunches under her feet. That's when she smells it. Cedar and winter rain and something ancient, like stones that have witnessed centuries passing. The scent wraps around her, heavy and dark, and she feels the air in the room change. The temperature drops 10 degrees in an instant. No one, a voice says from the doorway, is going anywhere. Wren turns. The man standing at the entrance to the gallery shouldn't exist. That's her first thought. He's too perfectly composed, too precisely arranged, like a painting someone spent years perfecting. His suit is black, and clearly costs more than she's made in her entire life. His hair is darker than midnight, pushed back from a face that could inspire wars, or religions, or both. But it's his eyes that make her breath catch. Pale gray, almost silver, with an intensity that suggests he can see straight through flesh to the vulnerable truth underneath. And he's looking directly at her. Victor Thane, Portia breathes, and for the first time since Wren's known her, the other woman sounds uncertain, almost afraid. We weren't expecting you until later. Clearly. Victor moves into the room with a fluid grace that seems wrong somehow, too smooth, too effortless. He doesn't walk so much as flow, like water or shadow. I was passing through Silver Pine Falls and thought I'd stop early. My foundation is considering a significant investment in the Ashford Gallery after all. I wanted to see how you treat your guests. The threat in his words is subtle, but unmistakable. Portia's face goes white. Mr. Thane, I apologize if you witnessed anything unpleasant. We were just handling a small situation. A small situation? Victor stops 3 feet from Wren. This close, she can see the inhuman stillness of him, the way he doesn't seem to breathe. Is that what you call humiliating someone for an accident? Mocking them for circumstances beyond their control? She's nobody, Portia says, desperation creeping into her voice. Just a waitress from... Her name is Wren Holloway. Victor says it with absolute certainty, though Wren knows they've never met. She would remember. She's 24 years old. She lost her mother to ovarian cancer 37 months ago. She worked 2 jobs to pay for treatments that ultimately failed. She sacrificed her education, her savings, her future, because she loved someone more than she loved her own comfort. And you call her nobody? Wren's heart hammers against her ribs. How do you know all that? He finally looks at her, really looks at her, and she sees something flicker in those silver eyes. Hunger. Recognition. Something that makes her want to run and step closer at the same time. I make it my business to know everything, he says quietly, then louder to Portia. The Thane Foundation will not be investing in the Ashford Gallery. Consider this partnership terminated. What? No, you can't. Portia lunges forward, but Victor merely raises one hand and she freezes mid-step. Actually freezes, like someone pressed pause on her existence. Trevor makes a choked sound. What the hell? Everyone out! Victor doesn't raise his voice, but command rolls through it like thunder. Except you, Wren Holloway. You stay. The crowd doesn't argue. They file out in eerie silence, even Portia, whose face has gone slack with terror. Trevor hesitates at the door, glancing back at Wren with concern, but something in Victor's expression makes him leave too. Then it's just the two of them, surrounded by priceless art and broken crystal. You should be afraid of me, Victor says. Wren looks down at the glass still scattered at her feet, at the champagne stains spreading across antique wool, at her trembling hands. She thinks about her empty apartment, about the bills stacked on her kitchen counter, about the video of her humiliation that's probably already circulating, about how tired she is of being small and scared and sorry. I've been afraid every day for 3 years, she says. I don't think I have room for any more. Something shifts in his face, approval, maybe, or surprise. Your blood, he says. It has a very particular scent. She blinks. That's a really weird thing to say. I'm a very weird man. His lips curve into something that might be a smile on someone more human. Tell me, Wren Holloway, do you believe in vampires? She should laugh. She should run. Instead, she looks at his too perfect stillness, his too pale skin, the way the light seems to bend around him like he's more shadow than substance. I believe in cancer, she says. I believe in medical bills that never end. I believe in losing everything and having strangers mock you for surviving it. Vampires? She shrugs. Sure, why not? Can't be worse than real life. This time he definitely smiles, and she sees the flash of something sharp and white. I've been alive for 437 years, Victor tells her. I've built empires and watched them fall. I've accumulated more wealth than most nations. I've drunk from kings and poets and murderers. And for the last 200 years, I've been dying. Wren takes an involuntary step back. Dying? There's a disease among my kind. We call it the dissolution. It's like rust in the blood, slow corruption of the very thing that makes us what we are. He moves closer, and she can feel the chill radiating off him. I've searched for a cure since the first symptoms appeared. I've consulted with every scholar, every witch, every scientist willing to believe in monsters. And 6 months ago, I found a reference in an ancient text. A human bloodline descended from a woman who once gave shelter to vampire refugees during the purges. Her blood carries antibodies that might reverse the dissolution. Okay, Wren says slowly. What does that have to do with me? He stops inches away, close enough that she can see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the only sign of age on that ageless face. Close enough that she can smell cedar and rain and something darker, richer. Like wine left to ferment for centuries. Your blood smells exactly like the descriptions in the text, Victor says. I detected it the moment I entered this building. It's why I came inside at all. He pauses. I believe you might be descended from that bloodline. I believe your blood might save my life. The words hang in the air between them, impossible and heavy. And you want... Wren's voice comes out barely above a whisper. What, exactly? A sample. Analysis. If I'm right, I would need regular infusions until the antibodies can be synthesized. His gaze is steady, unflinching. I would pay you, of course. More than you've ever imagined. Enough to erase every debt, fund any dream, live any life you want. It sounds too good. Like a fairy tale, like a trap. And if I say no, then I'll leave. He takes a step back, giving her space. I've done many terrible things in 4 centuries, Wren Holloway, but I've never forced anyone to save me. I won't start now. She looks at him, this impossible man with his impossible offer, and thinks about the video already spreading online. About returning to the diner tomorrow, facing the whispers and the pity. About her mother's medical bills that still haunt her credit report. About the college applications she threw away 3 years ago, because survival doesn't leave room for dreams. If I agree, she says, I want something else too. His eyebrow arches. Name it. Respect. The word comes out fierce, surprising her with its intensity. I want to matter, not as a blood bag or a charity case or some poor dead woman's daughter. I want to be seen as someone who has value beyond what she can give you. For a long moment, Victor just stares at her. Then he does something completely unexpected. He kneels. Right there on the champagne-stained rug, this ancient vampire king in his $1,000 suit kneels before her like she's royalty. Wren Holloway, he says, you are the only person in this room who truly understood the value of sacrifice. You've been seen your entire life. The question is whether the people looking at you deserved the privilege. He holds out his hand, palm up. I would be honored if you'd give me the chance to prove I do. She looks at his outstretched hand, at the impossible offer hanging between them, at the door that leads back to her small, scared life. Then she places her palm in his. His skin is cool, not quite cold. Like marble that's been sitting in shade. His fingers close around hers with surprising gentleness, and she feels a shock run through her. Not electricity, exactly, but something deeper. Like recognition on a cellular level. I'll need to take you somewhere secure for the initial tests, Victor says, rising smoothly to his feet. Somewhere my enemies can't reach us. Your enemies? Wren's stomach drops. I didn't agree to... The moment you touched me, your scent changed, mingled with mine. His expression is grave. Anyone with the senses to detect it will know you're under my protection now. That makes you valuable, which makes you a target. Oh God, she pulls her hand back. Maybe this was a mistake. I should go home. Portia posted the video 17 minutes ago, Victor says quietly. It's been shared 4,000 times. The comments are... He stops. You're trending on 3 social media platforms. Going home means facing that alone. Coming with me means safety, purpose, and the resources to rebuild your life however you choose. His voice softens. I'm not asking you to love me, Wren. I'm asking you to trust me long enough to let me prove I'm worth that trust. She thinks about her tiny apartment with its leaking faucet and water-stained ceiling. About the diner manager who'll probably fire her after this scandal. About the complete absence of anyone who'll defend her the way this stranger just did. Where would we go? I have a residence an hour north. 20 acres, completely private. You'd have your own quarters, your own space. A medical team will arrive tomorrow to begin the analysis. He watches her carefully. You can leave at any time. I'll have a car and driver at your disposal, but I hope you'll stay. It's insane. Completely, utterly insane. But her whole life fell apart 3 years ago, and she's been living in the rubble ever since. Maybe insanity is exactly what she needs. Okay, Wren says. But I need to pack some things first. Already handled. Victor gestures toward the gallery entrance, where a woman in a black suit stands, holding an expensive-looking bag. My assistant took the liberty of purchasing essentials. Clothes, toiletries, anything you might need for the next few days. We can retrieve your personal belongings later if you wish. The efficiency of it should bother her. Instead, she feels a strange relief. Someone else making decisions. Taking charge, seeing what she needs before she has to ask for it. You're very good at this, she says. At what? Sweeping in, rescuing people. Being impossibly perfect. His smile is sharp and sad. If I were perfect, I wouldn't be dying. Come, my car is waiting. He offers his arm like something from an old movie, and after a moment's hesitation, Wren takes it. They walk through the gallery together, past the shattered crystal and spilled champagne, past the art that costs more than her life, out into the cool October evening. A black Mercedes idles at the curb, sleek and expensive and exactly what she'd expect. The driver opens the door without a word, and Wren slides inside onto leather seats that probably cost more than her mother's funeral. Victor settles beside her, and the door closes with a whisper-soft click. "Are you afraid?" he asks as the car pulls away from the curb. Wren watches Silverpine Falls slide past the tinted windows, the coffee shop where she worked mornings, the pharmacy where she picked up her mother's prescriptions, the library where she used to study before everything fell apart. Her whole small life, contained in 6 square blocks. "No," she says, and realizes it's true. "I think I'm relieved." They drive in silence for several miles, leaving the town behind for dark country roads lined with pine trees. Wren watches the shadows blur past, feeling like she's shedding something with every mile. The weight of other people's judgment, maybe, or the constant exhaustion of surviving. "Tell me about the dissolution," she says. "What does it feel like?" Victor is quiet for a long moment. "Imagine your life force slowly leaking away. Every night you wake weaker. Every sensation becomes muted. Taste, touch, even thought. You exist, but you don't live. You become a ghost haunting your own body." "Sounds like depression," Wren says quietly. He glances at her, surprised. "Yes. Actually, that's remarkably accurate. You understand, then." "My mother, after the diagnosis, she said it felt like she was fading. Like someone was turning down her volume bit by bit." Wren's throat tightens. "I watched her disappear in increments, and I couldn't stop it. But you tried. It's not a question. You sacrificed everything trying. Fat lot of good it did." "It meant she didn't die alone," Victor says. "It meant someone loved her enough to burn their whole world down trying to save her. That's not nothing, Wren." "That's everything." She looks at him, at this creature who's lived longer than most civilizations, who's seen empires rise and fall, who has power and wealth beyond imagination. And she sees something in his expression that mirrors her own grief. Loss that time hasn't healed, just taught him to carry better. "How long do you have?" she asks. "If I can't help you?" 6 months, perhaps less. He says it matter-of-factly, like he's discussing the weather. "The dissolution accelerates in the final stages. I'll weaken gradually, then collapse all at once. And if I can help, then I get to keep existing in a world that somehow produced someone like you." His smile is small and genuine, which seems worth fighting for. The car turns down a long private drive, trees giving way to manicured grounds. Then the house comes into view, and Wren's breath catches. It's not what she expected. No Gothic castle or modern monstrosity. Instead, it's a sprawling craftsman-style mansion, all warm wood and stone, with floor-to-ceiling windows glowing with soft light. It looks like somewhere people actually live, not a vampire's lair. "It's beautiful," she says. "My architect was confused by the brief," Victor admits. "She expected something more stereotypical. But I've spent centuries in cold stone fortresses. I wanted warmth." He glances at her. "I wanted home." The car stops beneath a covered portico, and Victor exits first, then offers his hand to help her out. His touch is still cool, still sends that strange spark through her skin, but she's starting to find it comforting rather than alarming. Inside, the house is even more beautiful. Exposed beams, hardwood floors, furniture that manages to be both elegant and inviting. A fire crackles in a massive stone hearth, and Wren can smell something cooking, garlic and herbs and roasting meat. "You eat regular food?" she asks. "No, but you do." Victor nods toward a doorway where a woman in chef's whites is setting a table. "Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. Your room is upstairs, 3rd door on the left. I thought you might want to freshen up first." "You thought of everything." "I've had a long time to practice hospitality." He moves toward the fire, and the flames cast shadows across his face, highlighting the sharp architecture of his features. Go, settle in. We'll talk more after you've eaten. Wren climbs the stairs slowly, running her hand along the smooth wood banister. The third door opens to reveal a suite that's easily twice the size of her entire apartment. The bed is enormous, piled with soft linens. There's a sitting area with a window seat overlooking the grounds, a bathroom with a clawfoot tub, and more expensive toiletries than she's ever used in her life. The bag Victor's assistant packed sits on a cedar chest at the foot of the bed. Wren opens it to find clothes in exactly her size, soft sweaters, comfortable jeans, even pajamas that look like they cost more than her monthly rent. Everything thoughtful, nothing ostentatious. She strips off her second-hand dress and steps into the shower, letting hot water wash away the champagne and humiliation and fear. When she finally emerges, wrapped in a towel that's somehow both fluffy and weighted, she feels almost human again. The clothes fit perfectly. Of course they do. Downstairs, she finds the dining room and a table set for one. The chef has prepared salmon with roasted vegetables and what looks like homemade bread still steaming. Her stomach growls. She realizes she hasn't eaten since breakfast, which was just black coffee and anxiety. Victor appears in the doorway as she's sitting down. He's changed into something more casual, dark jeans and a gray sweater that makes his eyes look like liquid silver. "You're not joining me?" she asks. "I'll keep you company." He settles into the chair across from her, moving with that impossible grace. But watching people eat is one of the few pleasures still available to me. The dissolution affects all appetites. Wren cuts into the salmon, and it's perfectly cooked, crispy skin, tender flesh. This is incredible. Chef Ramirez is exceptional. She's worked for me for 12 years. She knows I can't enjoy her food anymore, but she still treats every meal like art. He watches Wren eat with an expression that might be hunger, might be longing. "Tell me something about yourself that has nothing to do with suffering." The question catches her off guard. "What?" "You've told me about your mother, your debts, your struggles, but you're not just survival and sacrifice. What did you love before the world tried to break you?" No one has asked her that in 3 years. Not even Trevor, who means well but only sees the tragedy. "Books," she says after a moment. "I was a literature major before I had to drop out. 19th century British fiction, specifically. I loved how those writers could make the smallest domestic moment feel epic. A woman choosing between two suitors wasn't just romance. It was about freedom, economics, identity, what it meant to be human." Victor leans forward slightly. "Favorite novel?" "Middlemarch. Everyone thinks it's boring because it's about a small town and nothing much happens, but that's the point. Dorothea wants to do something meaningful with her life, but she's trapped by circumstances and expectations and her own mistakes. And the genius is that George Eliot shows us how everyone, even the most ordinary person, is living their own epic story. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts," Victor quotes, "and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs." Wren sets down her fork. "You've read Middlemarch?" "Several times. Once when it was first published, which caused quite a stir. The author's identity was still mysterious then." His smile is fond with memory. "I've read most of what you'd call the Western canon. When you live as long as I have, you either become a scholar or go mad. Sometimes both. What's your favorite book?" He considers this seriously. That's like asking a parent to choose a favorite child. But if pressed, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I knew people who claimed to have met the man himself. It was strange, reading about someone who might have actually existed, seeing how the legend transformed him into something more than human. He pauses. "I suppose that's what's happening to me now, in reverse. I was never human, but I'm becoming less than what I was. Not yet." Wren surprises herself with the fierceness in her voice. "You're still here, still fighting. That counts for something. Does it? My mother fought until the very end. Some people told her to give up, accept it, make peace, but she wanted every single day, even the painful ones, even the ones where she couldn't get out of bed. She said every moment was precious, because it was hers." Wren meets his gaze. You're allowed to want to live, Victor. You're allowed to fight for it. Something shifts in his expression. Gratitude, maybe, or relief that someone understands the desperation beneath his controlled exterior. Eat, he says quietly. You need your strength for tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? The medical team arrives. They'll need to take samples, run tests. It's not painful, but it is invasive. And if I'm right, he trails off. If I'm right, your life will change irrevocably. My enemies will come for you. My allies will want to control you. You'll be valuable in ways you never wanted to be. Sounds like you're trying to talk me out of this. I'm trying to be honest. His gaze is steady. I saved you from humiliation tonight, but I might be delivering you into something worse. You deserve to know that. Ren pushes her plate away, appetite fading. Then why bring me here at all? Because I'm selfish? The admission sounds like it costs him something. Because I've spent 200 years searching for a cure, and I'm tired of hope. When I smelled your blood, I felt something I thought the dissolution had taken from me. Possibility. And I wanted it more than I wanted to protect you from the consequences of my hunger. The confession hangs between them, brutal and honest. Okay, Ren says. Okay? You're not perfect. You're not a knight in shining armor. You're a dying man who needs something I might have. She shrugs. That's fine. I'm not a damsel in distress or a victim or whatever people see when they look at me. I'm a survivor who's tired of barely surviving. We both want something. That's called a transaction, not a tragedy. Victor stares at her for a long moment, then laughs. A real laugh, surprised and genuine. You're remarkable. I'm practical, but she smiles despite herself. Do I get to ask questions? Anything. How does it work, the vampire thing? He relaxes slightly, like he's relieved to discuss logistics instead of emotions. We drink blood to survive, but we don't need much. A few ounces every few days for most of us. We're stronger and faster than humans. We heal quickly, and we live indefinitely unless killed, or, apparently, struck by mysterious diseases. He grimaces. We can go out in sunlight, though it's uncomfortable. Most of the myths are wrong. Garlic doesn't affect us. Crosses are meaningless. Running water is fine. We're not undead exactly, just different. Can you turn people into vampires? Through a blood exchange, yes, but it's rare. The transformation is brutal, and many don't survive it. Those who do are bound to their creator for decades, mentally, emotionally, sometimes unwillingly. His expression darkens. I've never turned anyone. I've seen too many makers treat their creations like slaves. But you have power over other vampires. You called yourself a king. The Thane bloodline is one of the oldest. We're stronger, faster, more resilient than most. Other vampires respect or fear us, depending on their disposition. He shifts in his chair. I built an empire over centuries, businesses, properties, networks of influence. I use that power to protect those weaker than myself and to keep our existence hidden from humans. It's not kingship like you'd imagine. More like being the CEO of a very dangerous, very secret organization. Sounds exhausting. It is. His smile is rueful. But someone has to do it. Without structure, without rules, we'd descend into chaos. Humans would discover us. There would be war. He pauses. I've spent 400 years preventing that war. I'd like to see that work continue. Ren stands, suddenly restless. She moves to the window, looking out at the grounds lit by landscape lights. What if I can't help you? What if my blood doesn't work? Then I die. The dissolution runs its course. Someone else takes control of what I've built. He joins her at the window, standing close enough that she can feel the cool air around him. And you'll have enough money to never worry about rent or food or bills again. You'll be free to do whatever you want. But you'll be gone. Does that matter to you? He sounds genuinely curious. We just met. She doesn't know how to explain it. How he saw her when everyone else looked through her. How he knelt before her like she was worth kneeling for. How he's speaking to her like an equal, instead of a charity case, or a means to an end. "I don't want you to die," she says quietly. "Why?" "Because you defended me when no one else would. Because you quoted Middlemarch from memory. Because you built a warm house when you could have had a cold castle." She turns to face him. "Because I'm tired of watching people I care about disappear, and you're the first person in 3 years who's made me want to care again." Victor goes very still. For a moment she thinks she's said too much, revealed too much, scared him with the intensity of feelings that shouldn't exist after just one evening. Then he lifts one hand and gently touches her cheek. His fingers are cool against her skin, but not unpleasant. Like creek water in summer, or the other side of the pillow. His thumb brushes away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. "Wren, Holloway," he says quietly, "you're going to ruin me. Is that a bad thing? I don't know yet." But he doesn't pull away. "I've spent centuries being careful, controlled. I don't let people close because attachment is weakness, and weakness is death. But standing here with you, I find I don't care about being careful anymore. Maybe that's the dissolution talking. Maybe." His hand slides from her cheek to her jaw, tilting her face up slightly. "Or maybe you're the first person in 200 years worth being reckless for." The moment stretches between them, heavy with possibility. Wren's heart hammers so hard, she's sure he can hear it. His eyes have darkened to storm gray, and she can see the faint lines of veins beneath his too pale skin. Human enough to seem familiar, strange enough to remind her what he is. "I should sleep," she whispers, though she doesn't move. "Big day tomorrow." "Yes," but his hand doesn't leave her face. "Wren? Yeah? Thank you for agreeing to this, for trusting me." His voice drops. "For wanting me to live. Thank you for making me want to live again, too." Then, before she can lose her nerve, she rises on her toes and presses a soft kiss to his cheek. His skin is cool and smooth, and she feels him go utterly motionless, like a statue carved from marble. When she pulls back, his expression is something between wonder and devastation. "Good night, Victor," she says. "Good night, Wren." She walks away, feeling his gaze on her back with every step. At the stairs, she glances back to find him still standing at the window, one hand pressed to the spot where she kissed him, looking more vulnerable than any vampire king should. In her room, Wren lies in the enormous bed, wrapped in sheets that smell like lavender and something wilder, cedar and rain and the promise of storms. Through the window, she can see stars scattered across the sky like spilled diamonds. She should be afraid. She should be planning her escape, protecting herself, maintaining distance from a literal monster who needs her blood to survive. Instead, she falls asleep, thinking about silver eyes and impossible promises and the first moment in 3 years when someone made her feel like she mattered. The medical team arrives just after dawn. Wren wakes to soft voices downstairs and the smell of fresh coffee. She dresses in one of the soft sweaters from her bag and makes her way to the kitchen, where Chef Ramirez has laid out a breakfast spread that could feed a small army. "Miss Holloway," the chef nods respectfully. "Mr. Thane said you prefer coffee black?" "Yes, thank you." Wren accepts the mug gratefully. "You don't have to call me Miss Holloway. Wren is fine." "Wren, then." The chef smiles. "The doctors are setting up in the East Wing. Mr. Thane asked that you eat first. You'll need your strength." The medical team consists of 3 people, 2 vampire doctors and a human nurse who seems utterly unfazed by the supernatural elements of her job. They're professional and gentle, explaining each test before they perform it. Blood samples, tissue cultures, detailed family history. "Your maternal grandmother," Dr. Chen says, studying her tablet. "Do you know her maiden name?" "Blackwell, I think. She died before I was born." The 2 vampire doctors exchange loaded glances. "That's the name," Dr. Mitchell breathes. "The bloodline we've been tracking. Blackwell, one of 7 families who sheltered vampires during the purges of 1673. "So I'm descended from vampire sympathizers?" Wren asks. "You're descended from heroes," Victor says from the doorway. She hasn't seen him since last night, and in the morning light, he looks both better and worse. More vibrant somehow, but also more fragile, like he's burning brighter because there's less fuel left. Those families risked everything to hide my people when humans decided we were demons. Most were killed for it. A few survived, scattered, their story lost to time. And their blood changed, Dr. Chen continues. Exposure to vampire biology, possibly through exchange during healing rituals, created antibodies we've never seen in ordinary humans. Antibodies that might combat the dissolution. She holds up a slide, showing Ren's blood cells magnified thousands of times. Even to Ren's untrained eye, they look different, brighter somehow, almost luminescent. We'll need to synthesize these antibodies, Dr. Mitchell says. Create a treatment protocol. It could take weeks to develop. Weeks I don't have, Victor says quietly, which is why we'll start transfusions immediately. Dr. Chen turns to Ren. Small amounts, just enough to test efficacy. With your consent, of course. Ren looks at Victor, standing in the doorway, like he's afraid to come closer. Like he's afraid his hope might shatter if he gets too near to it. Yes, she says. Let's begin. The first transfusion is strange, but not painful. They take what seems like a lot of her blood, though the nurse assures her it's a safe amount, then hook Victor up to an IV. He sits perfectly still as her blood flows into his veins, and Ren watches color return to his face in real time. Faint pink spreading across too pale skin, like dawn breaking. How do you feel? Dr. Mitchell asks. Victor opens his eyes, and they're brighter than Ren has ever seen them. Pure silver, almost glowing. I feel... He stands, moving with sudden fluidity. I feel alive. The effect is immediate, Dr. Chen says, making notes. Remarkable. Miss Holloway's antibodies are attacking the dissolution markers in your blood like targeted missiles. This shouldn't be possible. But it is. Victor crosses to where Ren sits, still hooked to monitors. He kneels beside her chair, taking her hand carefully. You're saving me. We don't know if it's permanent yet, Dr. Mitchell cautions. This could be temporary. We need to monitor you for, I know. But Victor doesn't stop looking at Ren. But for the first time in 200 years, I can taste the air. I can feel warmth. I can... He stops, overcome. Thank you. You're welcome, Ren says softly. They keep her for observation for several hours. By late afternoon, she's exhausted and slightly dizzy, though the medical team assures her that's normal. Victor hovers nearby, more animated than she's seen him, practically vibrating with restored vitality. You should rest, he says when they finally unhook all the monitors. I've had Chef Ramirez prepare something iron-rich for dinner. I'm okay, just tired. Ren stands, wobbles slightly, and Victor's there instantly, one arm around her waist. You're not okay. You just gave me a piece of your life. His voice is fierce. I won't let you minimize that. She lets him help her upstairs, too tired to argue, but when they reach her door, she turns to find him still there, reluctant to leave. Stay, she says. Just for a while. I don't want to be alone. Something flickers in his expression. Gratitude and hunger and careful restraint. Are you sure? I'm sure. He follows her inside, and she curls up on the window seat, pulling a blanket around her shoulders. Victor settles into the armchair across from her, maintaining a careful distance. Tell me about the purges, Ren says. The ones my ancestors helped you survive. It was 1673. The witch trials were spreading, and some enterprising humans decided vampires were equally demonic. They hunted us systematically, found our resting places, destroyed our havens, burned anyone suspected of harboring us. His gaze goes distant with memory. I was young then, only a century old. Arrogant. I thought I was invincible. Then they came for my family's estate. What happened? We ran. My father, my sister, 12 other vampires from neighboring territories. We scattered across the countryside, desperate, hunted. And then we found the Blackwell farm. His voice softens. Your ancestor. I never learned her first name. She insisted we call her Mistress Blackwell. She took us in without hesitation, hid us in her root cellar, fed us from her own veins when we grew weak. She knew the danger, knew what would happen if she was discovered, but she did it anyway. What happened to her? The hunters came eventually. They always did. But by then, we'd recovered enough strength to fight. We killed them all. He meets Wren's gaze, but not before they mortally wounded Mistress Blackwell. She died protecting creatures she had no reason to love. And with her last breath, she made me promise something. What? That I'd remember her kindness. That I'd extend it to others who needed protection. His smile is sad. I've tried to honor that promise for 3.5 centuries. Built networks to hide vulnerable vampires. Used my wealth to protect humans who'd be exploited by my kind. Became the king I am because she showed me what it meant to lead with compassion instead of cruelty. Wren feels tears prick her eyes. She sounds amazing. She was. And seeing you, brave and defiant and willing to risk yourself for a stranger, I see her in you, that same fierce generosity. He leans forward. You could have walked away last night, gone back to your small life and let me die. But you didn't. Why? I told you, I'm tired of watching people die. That's not the whole truth. His gaze is penetrating. Tell me the rest. She's quiet for a long moment, gathering courage. When Portia was humiliating me, when everyone was recording and laughing, I felt invisible, like I was already dead and no one had bothered to tell me, like I'd been erased by circumstances, and I'd just have to accept being nothing. She swallows hard. But then you looked at me, and I felt seen. Not pitied, not judged, just acknowledged as someone who mattered. And I thought, if this stranger can see me when no one else does, maybe I'm not nothing after all. Maybe I'm worth saving too. You're not nothing, Victor says with quiet intensity. You never were. The world just failed to notice its own treasure. Now you're being dramatic. I'm being honest. He stands, crosses to the window seat, sits beside her with careful space between them. In 400 years, I've met thousands of humans. Most are ordinary. Not bad, not good, just existing. Some are monsters wearing human faces. And a very few, so rare I can count them on one hand, are extraordinary. You're extraordinary, Wren. Not because of your blood, because of who you are when everything's been taken from you. Because you chose kindness when you could have chosen bitterness. She turns to face him, and in the fading afternoon light he looks almost human, almost fragile. Can I ask you something? She says. Anything. If this works, if we cure you, what happens to me? He goes still. What do you mean? I mean, do I just go back to my life? Become the waitress again, except with money? She pulls the blanket tighter. Do you forget about me once you don't need my blood anymore? Is that what you want? To go back? No. The word comes out more forcefully than she intends. No, I don't want to go back. I don't want to be small and scared and sorry anymore. But I don't know what I want instead. Victor reaches out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and takes her hand. His touch is warmer than it was yesterday, her blood already changing him, bringing him back to something closer to life. Here's what I want, he says. I want you to stay. Not because I need your blood, but because I like who I am when you're near me. I want to show you the world I've been accumulating for centuries. Art and books and places so beautiful, they'll make you weep. I want to give you the education you sacrificed. I want to watch you discover who you are when survival isn't your only goal. He pauses. And I want to know if this feeling between us, this recognition, is real or just gratitude and circumstance. Her heart stutters. What feeling? The one that makes me want to stay in this room forever? His thumb traces circles on her palm. The one that makes 200 years of suffering feel worth it because they led me to you. The one that terrifies me because I've spent centuries avoiding attachment, and suddenly, I can't imagine existence without you in it. Victor. She doesn't know how to finish the sentence. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to feel the same. I just wanted you to know. You matter to me. Not as a cure or a blood source. As Wren. As the woman who quoted Middlemarch and faced down her humiliation with dignity and decided a dying vampire was worth saving. The tears come then, hot and sudden. She's so tired of being strong, of holding herself together, of pretending the loneliness doesn't hurt. And here's this impossible man offering her everything she didn't know she wanted. Safety and purpose, and the chance to be seen. I want to stay, she whispers. I want all of those things. And I want to know if this is real too. Victor moves closer, closing the space between them. He cups her face with both hands, thumbs brushing away tears, and his touch is gentle enough to break her. Then stay, he says, for as long as you want. No obligations, no expectations. Just be here. Let me take care of you the way you're taking care of me. That's not a fair trade. You're giving me so much more. You're giving me my life back, Wren. There's no greater gift. Everything else is just me trying to repay a debt I'll never fully clear. She leans into his touch, exhausted and overwrought and strangely, impossibly happy. I should sleep, she mumbles. So tired. Then sleep. He shifts, arranging pillows around her, tucking the blanket more securely. I'll stay until you wake. I promise. Kay, she murmurs, already drifting. The last thing she feels before sleep takes her is Victor pressing a soft kiss to her forehead, his lips cool and careful against her skin. And the last thing she hears is his voice, barely a whisper. Thank you for choosing to live. Wren wakes to twilight and the smell of something incredible cooking downstairs. For a moment, she's disoriented. This isn't her apartment. This bed is too comfortable. The ceiling is too high. Then memory floods back. Vampires. Blood transfusions. Victor. She sits up to find him exactly where he promised. In the armchair by the window, reading a leather-bound book that looks older than countries. He glances up as she stirs, and his smile is soft. Good evening, Sleeping Beauty. How long was I out? 6 hours. It's just past 9. He sets the book aside. How do you feel? Better, actually. She stretches, testing her body. The dizziness is gone, replaced by a strange sense of well-being. What are you reading? He holds up the book. First edition Frankenstein, 1818. Mary Shelley signed it. You met Mary Shelley? Briefly at a salon in London. Brilliant woman. Angry about how men were taking credit for her work. His smile is fond. I bought several copies of her novel just to spite the publishers who tried to minimize her. Wren slides off the window seat, moving closer. Can I see it? He hands it over carefully, and she traces the signature with reverent fingers. This should be in a museum. Museums are where beautiful things go to die. I prefer to keep them alive. He watches her handle the book with obvious pleasure. Besides, what's the point of collecting treasures if no one appreciates them? Is that what I am? She looks up, catching his gaze. A treasure for your collection? No. His expression is serious. You're the person who reminded me why I started collecting in the first place. Because beauty and kindness and extraordinary things deserve to be protected. Before she can respond, her stomach growls audibly. Victor laughs. Come. Let's feed you before you waste away. Dinner is intimate, just the two of them at a small table near the fire. Chef Ramirez has outdone herself, steak cooked perfectly rare, roasted vegetables that taste like they were grown in heaven's garden, and chocolate cake so rich it borders on obscene. Victor watches her eat with obvious contentment, though he doesn't touch any of it. Don't you miss it? Wren asks. Food, I mean? Every day. There are tastes I'll never experience again. My mother's bread, the wine from my family's vineyard, the first strawberries of summer. His expression goes distant. The dissolution took even the memory of those flavors. But watching you enjoy something I helped provide, that's its own kind of sustenance. Tell me about your family, your human family. We were minor nobility in what's now Romania. My father managed the local lord's estates. My mother kept the household and raised 6 children. I was the third son, useless for inheritance, destined for either the church or the military. He smiles ruefully. Then a vampire attacked our village. She killed most of my family. Turned me because she wanted a companion who could read. That's horrible. It was. But also, he shrugs. I was 17, arrogant, desperate to matter. Suddenly, I had power, immortality, the ability to shape the world. It took me decades to understand what I'd lost. He meets her gaze. I'd give anything to taste my mother's bread one more time, to tell her I loved her, to be mortal and ordinary, and hers. But then you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have saved all those people. You wouldn't have... She trails off. Wouldn't have met you. He finishes the thought. I know. That's the cruel mathematics of existence. Every tragedy leads somewhere. Every loss opens a door. I hate it, but I can't argue with the result. They sit in comfortable silence for a while, the fire crackling, the night pressing against the windows. The medical team wants to do more tests tomorrow, Victor says eventually. They're trying to synthesize your antibodies so we don't have to keep draining you, but it will take time. How much time? Weeks, maybe months. They've never seen anything like your blood. He stops, searching for words. You're literally 1 in a billion, Ren. Maybe rarer. Great, I'm a unicorn. He laughs. A very grumpy unicorn who needs more cake. She does eat more cake. It's impossible not to. Afterward, they move to the library, a 2-story room lined with books that probably cost more than small nations. Victor pulls volumes off shelves, showing her first editions and rare manuscripts and books most people only see behind museum glass. This is your real treasure, Ren says, running her fingers along leather spines. Not the houses or the cars. This. Knowledge is the only wealth that increases when you share it, Victor agrees. I've spent centuries collecting these, reading them, preserving them, making sure their wisdom survives. He pulls down a slim volume. This one's for you. It's a first edition of Middlemarch, pristine and perfect. I can't take this, Ren breathes. You're not taking it. I'm giving it. Because you're the first person in 200 years who understood why it matters. He presses it into her hands. Besides, it's lonely sitting on a shelf. Books are meant to be read. She clutches it to her chest, overwhelmed. Thank you. Thank you for giving me someone to share them with. They stay in the library until past midnight, trading favorite passages, arguing about characters, falling into the easy intimacy of 2 people who speak the same language of stories and meaning. At some point, Ren ends up curled in an armchair while Victor sits on the floor beside her, and it feels so natural she doesn't question it. I should sleep, she says eventually, though she doesn't want to leave this moment. Or you could stay. Victor's voice is careful. I don't sleep. I haven't in centuries, but I could read to you if you'd like. You'd do that? I'd be honored. So Ren stays, wrapped in a blanket, while Victor reads Middlemarch aloud in a voice that's somehow both ancient and intimate. His pronunciation is perfect, his pacing immaculate, and listening to him breathe life into George Eliot's prose is maybe the most romantic thing anyone's ever done for her. She drifts off somewhere around chapter 3, and the last thing she hears is his voice, steady and sure, reading about people who loved imperfectly, but wholly. The next 3 weeks fall into a rhythm. Mornings mean medical tests and transfusions. Afternoons mean recovery and reading and long conversations. Evenings mean dinner in the library, and Victor reading to her until she falls asleep. The medical team makes progress, slow but steady. They're close to synthesizing her antibodies, close to creating a treatment that doesn't require her blood. But not quite there yet. And Ren discovers she doesn't mind. She's never been taken care of before. Never had someone anticipate her needs, protect her space, value her thoughts. Victor does all of it effortlessly. He orders books she mentioned wanting to read. He has Chef Ramirez make her favorite foods. He sits with her through the exhaustion after transfusions, reading or talking, or just being present. And somewhere in those weeks, gratitude shifts into something deeper. She notices the way his eyes track her across rooms, how he finds excuses to touch her. A hand on her back, fingers brushing hers when he passes her books. The way he says her name like it's sacred. And she notices her own reactions, how her heart speeds when he enters a room, how she finds reasons to sit close to him, how she's started imagining what it would feel like to kiss him properly, instead of that single, chaste kiss on the cheek. On the 23rd day, Dr. Chen makes an announcement. We've done it. The synthesized antibodies are stable. We can begin treatment independent of Miss Holloway's blood. Ren should be relieved. Instead, she feels a strange sense of loss. That night, after the final transfusion, Victor finds her in the library. She's curled in her usual chair, not reading, just staring into the fire. You're quiet, he says. I was just thinking. You don't need me anymore. Not my blood, anyway. No, he agrees, settling into the chair across from her. I don't need your blood. So, I guess I should start thinking about what comes next. Where I want to go. What I want to do with all that money you've given me. Is that what you want? To leave? I don't know what I want. It's not quite true, but she's afraid to say it. Victor leans forward, elbows on his knees, silver eyes intense. I told you weeks ago that I wanted you to stay. That hasn't changed. If anything, it's become more urgent. Why? Because I'm falling in love with you, Ren Holloway. Because you've become essential to me in ways that have nothing to do with blood or cures. Because the thought of you leaving makes me understand why vampires go mad. He takes a shaky breath. But I won't keep you here out of obligation. If you want to go, if you want to see the world or return to your old life, or find someone who doesn't come with centuries of baggage, I'll let you. I'll even help you. Because you deserve every choice. Every freedom. Every happiness. Her heart hammers so hard, she's sure he can hear it. And if I don't want to go, then stay. Stay and let me court you properly. Stay and let me show you every beautiful thing I've been collecting for you. Stay and let me prove that what we have is more than circumstance or gratitude. Victor, she stands, crosses to him, and he looks up at her with something like desperation. I'm falling in love with you too. I think I have been since you knelt in that gallery and made me feel seen. His expression transforms, hope and wonder and hunger all at once. He reaches for her, and she goes willingly, letting him pull her into his lap. His arms come around her, careful and strong, and she fits against him like she was designed for this exact purpose. Say it again, he whispers against her hair. I'm falling in love with you. Maybe I've already fallen. I don't know. I just know I don't want to leave. I don't want to go back to who I was before you. I want to stay here and argue about books, and listen to you read and become whoever I'm supposed to be next. With you. He pulls back enough to see her face, and his eyes are bright with emotion. You're sure? This world I'm offering you, it's dangerous. My enemies will come eventually. There are vampires who will resent your influence over me. Humans who will want to exploit what you are. You'll never be ordinary again. I was never ordinary. I was just invisible. She touches his face, marveling at how warm he's become, how much life her blood has returned to him. You made me visible, made me matter. How could I leave that? Then stay, he says, and it sounds like a prayer. Stay and be mine. Yours, she agrees. And then, finally, he kisses her. It's soft at first, almost tentative, like he's afraid she'll disappear. But when she makes a small sound of pleasure and presses closer, he deepens it, one hand sliding into her hair while the other spans her waist. He tastes like winter and dark wine, and centuries of longing, and Ren loses herself in it completely. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against hers. I should warn you, he murmurs. I'm possessive, protective to the point of obsession. I'll probably drive you mad with how much I want to keep you safe. I should warn you, she counters. I'm stubborn. I'll argue with you about everything. I'll probably drive you mad with how much I refuse to be kept. Perfect, he says, and kisses her again. They stay like that for a long time, kissing and talking and mapping the new territory of this thing between them. And when Wren finally falls asleep in his arms, still tangled together in the library chair, she dreams of futures instead of loss. The official claiming happens 3 months later. Victor insists on doing it properly, which apparently means a formal ceremony in front of the Vampire Council and his key allies. Wren wears a dress that costs more than her mother's house, deep green velvet that makes her feel like a queen. Victor looks devastating in a black suit that's probably older than America. Are you nervous? He asks as they wait backstage in the grand hall he's rented for the occasion. Terrified, she admits. What if they hate me? Then they'll have to get over it, because you're mine and I'm yours, and nothing will change that. The ceremony is shorter than she expected. Victor presents her to the council. 12 vampires who look like they've stepped out of history paintings. He speaks formally about bloodlines and sacrifice, and the debt he owes her. But then he goes off script. This woman saved my life, he says, still holding her hand on the dais. But more than that, she reminded me why it was worth saving. She's brave and kind and stubborn and brilliant. She's my partner, my equal, my home. And I'm claiming her not because I need her, but because I choose her. Every day. For as long as she'll have me. The council approves. They have no choice, really. Victor is too powerful to refuse, but Wren sees approval in some of their faces, genuine warmth. Afterward, there's a reception. Wren meets dozens of vampires who are either genuinely kind or smart enough to pretend. She meets humans who work with Victor's organization. She even meets Trevor, who drove 3 hours after she texted him the invitation. You look happy, he says, hugging her tight. I am. Really genuinely happy. Good. You deserve it. He pulls back, grinning. Also, your boyfriend is terrifying. I know. She grins back. Isn't it great? But the best moment comes near the end of the night, when Portia Ashford shows up uninvited. Wren, she says, and her voice is uncertain. Scared, even. I wanted to apologize for what I said that night, for humiliating you. I was cruel and jealous and you're only apologizing because I'm with Victor now, Wren finishes. Because I matter to someone powerful. Portia's face goes red. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry about the consequences. Wren keeps her voice level. But I forgive you anyway. Not because you deserve it, but because I don't want to carry that anger anymore. I'm happy now. Really happy. And I won't let you take that from me. Thank you, Portia whispers. You're welcome. Now leave. You're not welcome here. Portia goes, and Wren feels Victor slide up behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. That was magnificent, he murmurs against her ear. You've become terrifying. I learned from the best. They stay until the last guest leaves, then drive home through the dark. The house is quiet when they arrive, lit only by the fire Chef Ramirez left burning in the hearth. Victor pulls Wren close in the library, their library, surrounded by their books and their stories. Thank you, he says quietly, for choosing this, for choosing me. Thank you for making me someone worth choosing, she replies. And when he kisses her this time, it's with the certainty of forever, not the desperate grasping of dying creatures, but the steady promise of 2 people who've found their way home. Outside, the first snow of winter begins to fall, but inside, wrapped in each other's arms, Wren and Victor are warm.